My name is Kawther Ramadan. I am a researcher, I am a storyteller, and the executive director of the Women for Justice Foundation, which is a diaspora led organization working across Canada, Egypt, and the wider region. It is established in 2019. I'm also a PhD candidate at School of Social Innovation at St. Paul University, University of Ottawa, and my work brings together gender justice, civic engagement, and social innovation with a strong focus on supporting women leadership in exile and creating community driven models for peace building. At Women for Justice Foundation, we use storytelling, both digital and traditional, as a tool for advocacy, healing, and reclaiming political space here in Canada and in authoritarian context like Egypt. Actually, this work comes from the intersection of my lived experience and my academic journey. So I believe that personal is political. So I grew up seeing how faith could inspire compassion and dignity, but also how it could be misinterpreted to justify exclusion or limit women leadership. So I realized that sustainable change happens when communities transform from within culturally, spiritually, and socially instead of relying on imported models. I'm also doing my master degree in Women and Gender Studies at Carleton University, Feminist Institute for Social Innovation. So my research was collecting stories from Muslim women activists in London, Ontario after the Afzal family murders, the Muslim family who killed in London, Ontario in 2091. So this is all of these stories, all of these motivations that driven me to or led me to continue on this path. I came to Canada in 2017, seeking safety and a place where I could rebuild my life after facing political pressure and shrinking civic space in Egypt. Um, um, I am a journalist. My background is journalist, and also I was working in civil society in Egypt. And after the military coup in 2013, there was like an attack against journalists, women rights defenders, human rights defenders, and people who are working in civil society. So I found myself I have to leave because many problems I was facing in this time. So the take my family and to come to Canada was the essential decision to continue be alive and be not in prison in anymore. So migration reshaped my activism. It made me see how deeply connected struggle are across borders, across diasporas, across generations. In Canada, I witnessed how also how Arab and Muslim and other racialized communities navigate both hope and systemic discrimination at the same time. This pushed me toward like a transitional advocacy, especially focused on women in exile. It also shaped my academic research on political participation of Egyptian communities abroad, and more recently on digital storytelling as the colonial method for knowledge sharing and social change. If we're talking about how the way of knowing happened and how the political of knowledge and what the source of knowledge happened, like how we conducted research. We conducted research in Eurocentric way. It based on the text more than the lived experience more than community engaged in the stories, the researcher become like a scientist in a zoo. So he, he or she or they dealing with the people who involved in the research like a subject, not like a co-author. And this is what I'm learning from indigenous scholars here in Canada, even in during my master and during my PhD now. So how to deal with the participant in the research like a co-author, not like a subject or inferior participant in our research. So this is why I was trying during my research um, to make the space and facilitate the space for participants to tell their stories, not my stories. So during the decolonial method for knowledge, the lived experience, the grief, the happiness, the challenges, the successful is very important and matter during the research. And this is why the decolonial method learn us to collecting story, to sharing the stories with others. I can show you how the digital storytelling become down to top method to engage community in producing knowledge. I involved in two projects. First one, the Fearless Cities project, which focusing on fighting gendered Islamophobia and racism in the greater in GTA through documenting the story of visibly Muslim women and other women of color. We highlighted how racialized women navigate fear, harassment, and restricted mobility in public spaces. So what made this project impactful was that it turned lived experience into actionable insights for community partners. It creates like a vision for a safer, more inclusive city where all women can move freely and confidentiality. So what we are doing to give space for people to tell their stories, not we transfer the stories by text or by our point of view. So this is one of the project. This project we did it here in Canada, and there are a second project called Reclaiming Our Voices Through Storytelling. This initiative works with Egyptian women, particularly those from marginalized community in Egypt. We we were trying to we're still trying um, to document how women led initiatives or how women leaders in marginalized area, not in Cairo, the capital of Egypt, but in other marginalized uh, uh, communities, to reclaim their voices through through storytelling, especially in this context of authoritarian regime, the attack for against civil society, attack for women rights and women rights defenders. So we use storytelling as a tool for climate advocacy, community resilience, and women's empowerment. These women are often the most affected by environmental degradation and climate change, for example. The project helped challenge dominant narrative, shift public conversation, and support grassroots-led solution in the environmental justice space. This is an example how can we use digital storytelling in an effective way and centered women's lived experience and treated storytelling as a form of political power. I can say one challenge is navigating spaces where women's leadership is still questioned or undervalued, especially when working on issues linked to religion or public morality. Another challenge is dealing with transitional repression. Even from exile, many activists feel watched, targeted, or silence. I would like to add there is difficulty of bridging expectations between different cultural and political context. That what gender justice means in Toronto is not in my project Fearless City is not always understood in the same way in Cairo, so or other part of the region. So building trust, listening deeply, and grounding the work in local realities are crucial because yeah, my hope that my research, my PhD research reflect this this comparison between a democratic country like Canada and authoritarian country or undemocratic or dictatorship like Egypt, and how women navigate oppression, navigate injustice, and how they are fight this and resist these challenges in creative and very successful way. From my experience with the grassroots communities in Egypt, and also when I connected with the women activists in London, Ontario, after the Afzal family murders, um, I found the storytellings allow us to speak truth in a way that data alone cannot, because it brings visibility to people who have been erased or stereotyped. So in my work, storytelling becomes a method of producing knowledge because it exposes patterns of harm, it challenges misconception about Muslim or Arab women, and brings emotional clarity to issues that policymakers often discuss in abstract terms. So I found that the digital storytelling lab that I created during my studies, PhD at St. Paul University, uh, I create the digital storytelling lab that I will share with you to support young and racialized women in shaping their own narrative. Because these stories have been shared with community partners or educators, or even policymakers. So when policymakers hears a woman describe how racism or climate change impacts her daily life, it shifts the conversation. It builds because what happened. It builds empathy, but it also creates pressure for structural change. Because when we talk about hate crimes or hate speeches or any embedded discrimination that happen in the community, it's of course the data is very important. Of course the policy briefs is very important. But when use a tool like an interactive tool like digital storytelling, that help people to reflect how this impact in their life by using stories and by using art. Because when using the digital storytelling, we don't just use verbal tool, but also we use painting, we use poems, we use crafts, we use any kind of of art expression. It includes under the digital storytelling. Living in exile can be painful, but it can also be a space to imagine new futures. This is what happened for me. So my message: stay rooted in your values, stay connected to your communities, and never underestimate the power of your voice, even from afar. Because this is what happened in my experience, and how I I marginalized when I arrived to Canada. How I feel weakness, how I feel sad because I become far from my mother and my family. Like, but when I found justice can help people, and justice work doesn't stop at borders, that give me motivation, because exile can become a place transformation where we build new tools, new network, and new solidarities as well. So I want women in exile, especially women, to know that their stories, their knowledge, and their courage are essential to shaping that future of our communities. And their voices matter in different ways, here and there. So I find myself have to continue for me and my kids, and also for women who are marginalized, who women who are feeling that they are alone.